we, being rule takers but not rule makers? Joining us now is the founder of Atticus Partners, Leon Cook. Leon, what's your assessment of what we're seeing at the moment? We've known that Keir Starmer wants to have closer and closer ties to the European Union. He was always a person who wanted to have another referendum, wasn't he? But we didn't get that. Instead, it now appears that we may be in a bit of a subservient position whereby we take some of the EU's rules, but we're not actually helping to make them.
Well, good afternoon. It wouldn't be the first time that what Keir Starmer said before the election and what he is delivering now are two very, very different things. He was a committed Remainer. I think one of the first things he did by moving Nick Thomas-Symonds from the Foreign Office to the Cabinet Office in terms of oversight, he showcased exactly his direction of travel vis-a-vis the EU. You've answered your question yourself. We are absolutely, with this deal, a rule taker rather than rule maker. I think there's a very interesting clause in the documentation which basically says appropriate funding, which means it's completely ill-defined. It could balloon exponentially. If you then couple this on the back of, I mean, fishermen will be wondering what the hell is going on. We've given the EU 500 million in the last 5-6 years to police the beaches. I mean, I know it's a cliche, but every time that Starmer negotiates, Britain loses. I think there will be people that will be wondering why also, as it's only just come out a few days before recess. It would absolutely be picked up when we come back, but I think it is very, very problematic for the government.
Just on that, what are we paying for?
Well, we're paying for the oversight by the regulatory bodies for an SBS deal and access to their carbon market. But at the same time, that will govern us in terms of electricity generation, aviation, international maritime. I could go on.
I mean, wasn't this to be expected? I mean, as soon as you sign up to an EU agency, you're not going to be able to get all of that oversight for free. Those inspectors coming and knocking on your door for free, you're going to have to pay for those inspectors to come and make sure you're following EU rules. And for example, farmers, if they want to use any sort of fertilizer or pesticide, that's now going to have to be pesticide that fits with the EU rules. They're going to have to check that. That costs money. Of course, we're going to have to pay this money.
I think it's perfectly fair for them to make that argument, but they should be making that argument. And in Parliament, these things should be debated. It should not be coming out in the papers. And I think ever closer alignment is exactly what they want to achieve. I think one of the facts that both Germany and the United Kingdom were the only net contributors to the Exchequer was a key argument of why Britain decided to leave and voted the way it did. This is exactly that. Therefore, how they can continue to make the argument that they are in keeping with the decision, they might as well just say it plainly. And I would also say, last point, electorally, this is a very interesting strategy. They are up against the Tories and Reform, who are going to say, we're against this.
But do you think electorally, they've decided that people just aren't listening? That people at home don't know that Nick Thomas-Symonds is a very close friend of the Prime Minister, don't really care if he's in the Foreign Office or the Cabinet Office, haven't heard of a sanitary and phytosanitary agreement, don't really care about the technicalities and the details, because if it can be made to sound as boring as possible, the average voter would just go, so?
Unfortunately, again, I think you've answered your own question, Tom. Yes, I think that is absolutely the case. It is very sneaky, but that is why shows like this are discussing it, is why it should be debated in Parliament. And I'm sure when we come back, if not there isn't an urgent question in the next few days, that Reform and the Conservatives, well, it matches opposition, will be saying, bring the Minister to the House and explain why this wasn't presented at the time.